books. Hey everyone, welcome back to Kisty Reads. I know that I promised you my sassier, more opinionated self, so here I am. Here she is. I wanted to do today's video about the books that I read so far this year. I did my first video, my newbie tag, and I haven't done any other videos about any of the books that I've read, and since it's already March or end of March, early April, I thought instead of doing like an individual March wrap up, I would just do like January, February, and March all in one, kind of like your first quarter of the year reads. My goal for this year is actually 40 books, but I might up that to about 50. I know most booktubers, especially like the really ambitious ones, have about 100 on their reading goal. I have a really aggressive full-time job and I'm also on a couple dance teams, so it's hard for me to get too much reading in. Even though I do read every day, I try to read a little bit. So 100 books might be a little too much for me. So I'm gonna stick to 40 and maybe up it to 50. I'm feeling ambitious, so I might do 50. But so far this year I've read 9 books. So I'm working on 10 and 11 currently, but so far I read 9 and I thought that I would share those with you today. So I have them over here and I'll be reaching into this pile to pull them out and show you for the most part. The first book I read this year was Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. It's the first book by either author that I've read. It took me a while to read. I started it in December and I finished it in February, so a little shameful there. I don't usually take 2 months to read books, but this one took me a while. So it's very dense in terms of kind of like the dry British humor. There's a lot of wit, there's a lot of puns, there's a lot of ironic scenes and things you're supposed to get. I didn't get all the humor. Even though I have read and I have watched a lot of kind of British shows that revolve around that kind of really dry British humor. I liked it. I did give it a 3 stars on Goodreads, not because it's bad. It's actually really well written. The authors are excellent authors. It's just not my cup of tea. Now I think any other books by Neil Gaiman I'd probably really enjoy. Terry Pratchett, I'm not so sure. I'd have to check him out more, but Neil Gaiman I do know is like a fantasy author, and I've heard and I've seen a lot of his other books get rave reviews and different kind of synopses. So this one, it just was a little slower pace than I think I am used to in a book. Even in adult books, I really like kind of a more faster pace, or even if there's like pockets of time where things are slower, then there's other pockets of times where things really speed up, where things get really exciting. Whereas this book, you really focus on the character development and kind of like the why of things happen and that kind of thing. So it didn't really pique my interest too much, which is why it took me so long to read it. So definitely recommend if you're a fan of that kind of character building and the kind of slow prose wit British comedy. You'll like this for sure. The next book I read was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. Now I know and I've heard that she's a bit of a controversial author. I did not know that when I first read this book. I thought, you know, Harry Potter vibes, you know, I'm like, absolutely, I'm all about the Harry Potter vibes and the teen angst, and I loved it. I mean, I'm definitely not 17 anymore, but it was really good. It was just a great break for after reading Good Omens. It was so heavy and dense. This one was so not heavy and dense. It was like really good. I thought it was well written. I thought it was great. I do want to read Wayward Son. I've heard bad reviews, actually, not even really mixed, just like not so good, but I want to finish the series and I know it's going to be like 2 books and I just kind of want to read that. I don't have any interest in Fangirl, which I guess is where the whole Carry On series came from, is from Rainbow Rowell's book Fangirl, but I just wanted to read the more fantasy stuff, so there we go. That's where I'm at and I love it. I love the romance in Carry On. Like, I just love the romance. If you want like Harry Potter vibes with a good LGBT romance, that book is for you, because it was for me. The third and fourth book that I read were part of a duology, so I read both of them, and they were a very popular young adult fantasy duology, especially on BookTube, so I know I had to read it. I was actually inspired by Books with Chloe. She loves this book, so if you guys watch her, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about. It is the Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares duology. This one is amazing. I have the hardcover books. Don't ask me how I got them. It was insane. They are absolutely stunning, and I regret nothing. I regret nothing. So that's that. I will say Strange the Dreamer is fantastic, and it's just, man, hitting me. It is really good. I have to say, Chloe has great taste in books from what I've read so far. It's great. My absolute favorite from the two is Muse of Nightmares. It's just more complex. It's a little darker. It's a little more like evolved. The characters in the book kind of evolve a little more, and it gets a little darker. It's more complex. You start to understand how the world was built. Like, you look back on Strange the Dreamer and you're like, wow, like Laini Taylor really just did all of that. And we didn't even know until Muse of Nightmares, like crazy. I'm just wondering, like, did she do that on purpose, or did she just become brilliant? I don't know, but it's brilliant. You start to see other characters, like there's one character in Strange the Dreamer that you just hate. And I mean, most of us hate her. I mean, I hate her. I don't know about most of us. Most of us, that's in the voices in my head. We all hate her. But you hate her. And in Muse of Nightmares, you kind of come to understand why she is the way she is, like what she went through, how she went through it, and you see her develop more as a character, and you see everyone around her understand her and also develop more around her too, you know. Some characters come into their power more. It's just really, this one is great. You have to read Strange the Dreamer to get to Muse of Nightmares, but it's totally worth it. So highly recommend that series if you're into young adult fantasy, which is what I'm going to talk about a lot today, is young adult fantasy. Ever since I started watching like booktube, I've just been like hooked on the young adult fantasy, so I'm really here for it. The next young adult fantasy series that I read was the Folk of the Air series by Holly Black. I got all the Barnes & Noble editions because I love the black covers, even though they're white underneath. Haha. I thought this was fantastic. I'm not going to give any spoilers during this video. I probably will do a video just for this series because I thought it was so amazing. I loved Cruel Prince. It was amazing. I loved Queen of Nothing. That was great too. There's a part in Queen of Nothing that I was like, what is, that's how we're gonna do the prophecy? That's how it's gonna be fulfilled? But okay, you know, Holly Black is gonna do Holly Black, so that's what she did, and it's still really, really good. There's just one part that I have I'm just kind of like, what happened? My favorite from this series is The Wicked King. I just thought this one was phenomenal. I don't usually like middle, books or middle parts of like movies that much, like, Lord of the Rings. I didn't love the second movie, but I loved the last one, so I usually end up loving the last something of whatever series I'm reading or watching, but for this one, the second one blew me away. I loved The Wicked King. It was dark. The romance between you-know-who and you-know-who developed so well. I thought it was brilliant. The main characters just developed really wonderfully. They kind of came into their own and became more themselves. I don't want to say they became who they're meant to be, because I think you're always who you are, but they just came into themselves. They just developed, and it was really cool to watch, and the romance and the relationship was really cool to watch, although it leaves you in like a heart-wrenching place where you're like, oh, did you just, wow, like they can't be trusted. But it was actually really good. The next book that I read, I actually got this in a fairy loot box. If you know, you know. The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. It's actually a really good spicy book. I mean, it's not like super thought-provoking or deep or anything like that, like some of the other books were, like Strange the Dreamer, Muse of Nightmares is definitely more thought-provoking, but it was just like spicy, and the Alessandra, the main character, is just like badass. Like, she develops as a character slash human, presumably, as well, and that's kind of cool to see, and I really liked it. I honestly got this in my fairy loot box, read the synopsis, had no idea about this book before. Unfortunately for me, I didn't know about it. Read the synopsis and just dove right in. I didn't waste any time. None at all. And it was really good, actually. I really enjoyed that one, and that's one that I would actually reread, because if I'm feeling like I want, hot, spicy romance, and it's like a little bit risque, that's what I would go for. The last book out of the 9 that I read was actually a Kindle read from my library. I love borrowing books from the library on Kindle. It is amazing. And that one was Truth Witch. Now, I really loved the way the world is, and I love the way the magic works in the world. Like, she did a great job with the magic, and just the world development was really interesting. I don't know why I haven't gone to Wind Witch, although I did order that and it's on its way, so I'm gonna have a physical copy of it to read, which I'm excited about. I just got distracted by my TBR and I haven't touched that one. So I'm hoping to kind of fit it in with April and May and see where we're at. But like a lot of the books that you'll see behind me, I haven't actually gotten to read yet. So I've bought a lot of books from the last like year, and I've read a lot too. I just haven't read as many as I've hauled. And I know a lot of people are hauling less and they're reading just to be more minimalist, but right now I'm in like a non-minimalist phase where I want to haul and have like a million books. I want to be like Belle from Beauty and the Beast, just have a room full of books and ladders and everything. That is my dream, and I love many books. I'll probably be reading a lot of the ones that you see on my shelf. I might be recording from different angles so you can see the books at the top because it reaches the ceiling. But that's probably why I got distracted. I just have so many books to read that I was like, oh, I don't have Wind Witch right now. I'm gonna dive into another one, and I think that's what happened with the Folk of the Air series. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Those are the books that I've read so far. I'm working on numbers 10 and 11 right now. I will be doing my April TBR because I will be doing the Owls Readathon. I'm really excited about that. I picked out my career, I'm picking out my books, and then soon we're gonna have that video after this one, I think. So you guys will be able to check that one out. So yeah, if you like this video, please subscribe. Click the bell, click the like button, comment below. If you disliked any of the books, let me know. If you liked them, let me know. If you have recommendations of like, oh, you liked that one, well, this one is so much better, I want to know. Please subscribe. And thank you so much. Bye.